loyalty described as, do you care? And I care, and that's why I'm on this show. Comes a time, here we go.
I'm a sucker for O'Teal, man. I saw that same feeling that I have, that would he fill a void that I didn't even know existed.
It feels so good to, as Ben said, to try to do something about an issue as opposed to complaining.
If you can't help, don't hurt.
If we could just all get out there and throw cream puffs at each other, maybe things would, instead of bullets and angry words, it would be better.
When you stop laughing, you stop living.
There's a worldwide surge in interest in mushrooms.
It was deep, man.
It's not that TM makes your mind quiet down there. It already is. We're just stuck up here. We've lost access.
A Jumpin' Jack Flash came out by the Stones. So I thought, all right, perfect, man. I'm gonna drive, and I started driving through the neighborhood, and I got a text from Mick Jagger.
People saying that, what we do is non-essential. Well, playing those few gigs that you saw me at felt pretty essential to me.
It wasn't like they were clapping from here. It was they were clapping from here.
My view of things is that death is the last and best reward for a life well lived.
Like it's the strangest of places if you look at it right,
If you're liking what you're hearing, head on over to patreon.com/comesatimepod and get your bus pass for an extra episode every week.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Comes a Time Podcast. That is O'Teal.
And that is Mike.
Hi, buddy.
We had how are you doing?
Great. You look fantastic.
This was in honor of our guest, Thessaly Lerner, a.k.a. Rainbow Valentine.
A.k.a. the ukulele.
The ukulele. Wow. Just to tell you about the outfit, because it probably caught you by surprise. You got up to go to the bathroom just as I jumped on, and I was wearing a George Porter t-shirt. And I was like, oh, hello.
Yeah.
And she came on and I was like, maybe I should get a little bit more festive. And then I just had this made for Mom's Ball in New Orleans, which
it's sick, dude. It looks comfy.
Yes, the theme of the ball was outer space. And so I basically just ordered an outer space tapestry. And my friend Molly Coots made me this cool robe with this cool...
That's so nice, dude.
And so I went and put it on, and then Mike came back and was like, oh.
Yeah, I was like, oh, shit, my computer took acid today.
We got Fruity Pebbles. But,
Someone dosed the Mac. Yeah.
Yeah. Mike's game for the unknown, so I knew it would be fine. But I'm sure
absolutely.
It's a little sudden. But Thessaly, wait till you see what she's wearing.
Before you came on, it was her and I was, kind of plugging stuff in and whatever. And then bang, there she was. And I was like, oh, hi.
Hello.
Good morning. And and it was, it was bright and sunny day. And she brought some sun to this cloudy ass New England dreary afternoon.
She's
but
great. So Thessaly you go ahead.
No, you.
She has 11-part podcast that they did on Wavy.
I think she said
Gravy?
11 parts. Yeah, something like that.
And we had Wavy on the podcast and we unpacked, the fact that he had lived like 3 different lifetimes.
I mean,
like any one of those episodes would have done for someone's life story. But she then unpacked that into infinitude, like 11 episodes, like unpacking the unpacking. So there's so many. What did she say? I think you said it. He's the Forrest Gump of.
I don't think she did. I'm not taking credit for that. I think, and you said she's the Ken Burns of psychedelics, which is great. Yeah, this was just a whole bunch of.
Well, she also has all this stuff on all the women.
Yeah,
of
you guys will hear
all
movement. About it.
Yeah, you'll hear it. So she's done a lot of.
Well, and it's the passion project stuff. It's what we're doing. It's the passion project stuff where it's, we're not buying boats off this podcast yet. But, we do it because we love talking to these people. And we love that you guys are listening.
Yeah. She grew up with Wavy. So she was around them and all the dead guys. And she's like, I'm not a deadhead. Like,
she
weed and acid and...
Yeah.
Hippies. She was like, oh, more of that. Like, so she was into like...
Cyndi Lauper.
Cyndi Lauper and Madonna.
And the Pretenders.
Like Annabelle Garcia.
Right. And it's... Shit. Sorry about that. I hope that didn't buzz your ears. She said before you came on too, she's like, I heard Wavy on your podcast, which you guys should go back and check out and try to watch it if you get a chance, because it's more of a visual. But she said, it's hard. He's getting up there in years, and there's these folks who deserve someone to carry on that litany and legacy of their stories. And it's, props to her for doing it, and it's,
because there's a lot of stuff, that documentary that I watched about him, Saint Misbehaving, was a mind blower.
Yeah,
like
dude.
But this, to get the opportunity, because he's still alive, he's 87, she said.
Yeah.
And so to get all those other stories, with him still being alive,
well, man, think about this too, though, right? Like, I was thinking about it when we were talking, and I don't want to give too much away, but we talk about how, he was like the Forrest Gump kind of, dude, so are you. So am I. If someone's going to tell the O'Teal story, if someone's going to tell the O'Teal story, does it start with ARU? No, it starts with you and your brother. It starts with you and your folks. It starts with, and then does it end
being there and
then the Allman Brothers for almost 2 decades, and then getting married and having children, and then Dead and Co. And that's only, and then O'Teal and Friends, and then the podcast, and there's, and stand up.
I'm not done. I'm only in my.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. And I have a whole the Impractical Joker stuff, and the stand up comedy stuff, and that started when I was 30. So what about the 30? What led up to that? So we all are Forrest Gumps if we allow ourselves to, be and
step into the unknown.
Yeah, man. So this was cool to, and he's one of those. Yeah, this is a really fun. You gotta watch it. I hate to do that again, but you gotta watch it. Yeah,
it is. They keep getting better.
You may actually be able to see this if you're listening on audio. It was so bright. This was a bright one. So enjoy and thank you. And if you're enjoying us, it means a lot if you head to YouTube and follow our YouTube channels at Mike Finoia, at O'Teal Burbridge, at Comes a Time Podcast. Go to patreon.com/Comes a Time Pod and join us for an extra episode every week. You can rate and review and, subscribe on all of wherever you're listening to us. Tell your friends to listen if you think that it'll help them or if they will enjoy it. And we got a lot of great stuff planned, so hop on the bus, kids, and wear your brightest vest, your hooded vest. Peace out.
Thessalonians, like in the Bible, First Thessalonians.
Yeah, it's a place. It's also a place. Thessaly is where Mount Olympus was. My dad was a classical civilizations major before he drove his VW bus from Brooklyn to Marin to crash with the Grateful Dead roadies in 1969.
Okay, we've started. And that's a great place to begin.
It is. Let me get into my full screen. Sorry.
Mike looks so underdressed, but that's okay. We love you.
Well, I went and changed on him.
We don't judge here on Comes a Time Podcast, but thank you.
No judging. No, underdressed is nice. You look relaxed. You make me feel relaxed. Thank you for having me, you guys.
Absolutely. I could go find a blanket to put over my head if that's...
No, you look perfect.
Mono neon, man.
Stop. You look gorgeous. You look stunning. Your skin is glowing. Your eyes are bright.
Where's your chicken wing?
It's a leg. You missed this, O'Teal. I'm a musician, and I use this sometimes as my comedy microphone. And when I was interviewing Wavy, I would use it. And he was like, "I love your chicken leg." So I had to order him one as well, which felt good to drop him off a chicken leg.
There it is.
It's a great microphone.
Thank you.
Look at the two of you. This is awesome. Here we go. So let's talk about your dad and going to live with the roadies. How cool. What a nice start.
Yeah. I'm the child of psychedelic pioneers. And, you'll love this. My dad met my mom because he went to Big Sur to pick up some redwood burl tables, and he was given some really strong acid, and he tripped for like 2 weeks, and so he was dropped on the doorstep of my mom, who was a well-known caretaker for freakouts, and he never left.
That's
wow.
Awesome. That's great.
My God, that's strong acid. He tripped for 2 weeks off one hit.
Probably not.
Well, one experience. Yeah. I mean, or did he stay and just continue dosing?
No, it was one strong thing. This was like 1970, so.
Yeah. Wow.
I once went to Burning Man with Trixie, my friend Trixie, Garcia, and her mom gave us some acid that lasted me a week.
Wow.
Oh.
It was a lot.
Yeah. I can't do that. Well, I guess I could in theory, but I don't want to do like 100 hits or 500 or 1,000. I just don't,
No.
I don't ever want to trip for a week straight.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy it. I was like worn out. I was like, this is too much.
Yeah.
I guess.
And it's almost kind of like the exhaustion sets in when you first, like when you're taking a lot, you're kind of like, you almost get pre-exhausted. You know what I mean? Yeah. You're like, this is going to be heavy. I remember there was a couple times where I took too much and I was like, I'm already tired in advance, like for what's about to happen.
I didn't even take, I just took one nib, but I'm only 4'11 and a half.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It is a lot.
I don't even think I want to do it anymore as just to take it. Like all the healing therapeutic stuff that I see, and even its ancient history and in different cultures, they weren't taking it just to take it. They were taking it to use it for whatever various purposes, but it was always some kind of work, something to work through or help you like unblock something or rite of passage. There was always something more to it than just like, oh, let's go take way too much acid.
That's how I started doing it like that. Let's just go take way too much acid. I backed into it the right way. I played around with it. It was like a band's going to play at our apartment in college. So like, let's just eat a ton of acid and see if we can finish the keg, But then when you take it and then you go like, oh, this surrounding is fun, but it's not.
It's not.
There's more there. There's more, and that exploration part kind of was like first it was a party drug, but everything was a party drug for me when I first started. Yeah. I think I found the important part of it afterwards, and all the crap drugs fell off the side,
Yeah, I was scared of it when I was like, ooh.
But a week.
Because I was,
That's crazy. A week.
Well,
a week. Oh my God.
Well, it was mild. It was just like I would look at a wall. I'd be like, oh yeah, it's still moving. But
yeah.
The children of psychedelic pioneers, we grow up knowing that this is like a healing event and a special, the special shaman time. And so I know you two must not have been raised by psychedelic pioneers if you dove.
No.
Although you might think so the way I'm dressed right now.
You look gorgeous, Michael.
I kind of was in a way. My mom was very psychic, and so she lived in that world also. So in a way, yeah, I did. My dad was the exact opposite, but I think I got a lot of that influence from her because she was just freaking psychic, as was, some of her family also.
Well, you guys are leading psychedelic pioneers now. So congratulations.
Thank you. Well, I think that the world it's amazing to see. We had Rick Doblin from MAPS on, and I love the way that they're kind of like, he's going to the Republican side and saying like, hey, your veterans, you say you love them. Here's what they say helps. Put your money where your mouth is and support this, and they are, and it's great.
Stamets does too.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic, so there's definitely as we always talk about the balance and in things, and as the world keeps getting weirder and more comic bookish, the other side of things, like people tuned in or looking for that escape hatch or that other frequency or other place to go explore. And it's not escapism anymore, I don't think. I think it's survival.
No, it is survival for sure.
Yeah. It totally is.
I agree. Healing the trauma. It's hard to be a human.
Oh, yeah. Love your glasses. Do they make those in wide? I have a big head, so I have to get my glasses kind of big, but I like those.
They're comedy glasses. I grew up with Wavy, so I just want to be just like him when I grow up. I have a very small head, Mike, and I don't know if they'd fit your wide head. I mean,
I do have a wide head. And you know what I worry about? Because I have no hair. My head meat hangs over the arm of the glasses, so it leaves a little divot. So I need to go wide. Yeah, but they look great on you.
I know the head meat thing. That Oteil, you can write a song called Head Meat, and you guys can insert it right here, a jingle.
I think Les Claypool might have already done it.
He probably has a band called Head Meat. No one less.
Totally.
That's awesome, though. So you basically grew up with Wavy.
I did.
That's awesome.
It was amazing. Yeah, my mom met him in 1964 because she was the secretary for the comedy troupe, and she was friends with. She was a connector. She knew everybody. And when Wavy started camp in 1979, they dropped me off. I was 6 and I had the best time ever. And I never left. I was like, this is my life.
I've heard that so much. And then I know some people that have grown up going there, and it's just like, it was the best.
The best.
I want
who do you know? We must know the same people.
Oh, I'm with Dead and Company. Yeah,
right. Yeah, I'm actually
who don't
moving. Who don't? I'm moving actually to Trixie's land. She has some cottages, and she's letting us rent a cottage for a year. I'm so excited.
That is awesome.
Really
what a great time to do that.
Yeah, I've been in the South for 6 years, which has been very interesting and eye-opening. But I'm ready to go back to the.
What part?
I'm in Atlanta.
Because I'm still kind of in the South, although they don't count Florida as the South. But I did Georgia, Alabama, and Tennessee for almost 40 years.
Oh my God, You're from the South.
No, I'm not from there. I'm from Washington, D.C., but the majority of that time was spent in Birmingham, Alabama, 18 years. So, you're in Georgia. You're in it.
I am, but Atlanta's so purple and so gay and so fabulous. But you do leave 5 minutes out and it's, oh shit.
There's a lot of that.
All the southern cities are like that.
Even Denver's like that. Like you get outside of Denver or Boulder and you're in pants tucked into your boots cop territory.
It's not just the South. It's
it's everywhere.
In America.
Yeah. Rednecks in the world. Rednecks are everywhere. Rednecks
everywhere.
Yes. I was in Cyprus.
That's why we can't have a secession. We can't pull apart from each other because
rednecks are
we're
everywhere.
just too intertwined,
No, and everyone's a creature comfort. What's it called? Creature comforts or something
creature
like that?
Of comfort.
Yeah. So it's people will be I want to go live with the other, but that's my Stop and Shop right there. I don't want to leave my.
And literally, that's why people don't leave the country. Because it's convenient.
Right. Totally.
We're on the hook. We got brainwashed by the whole thing, which is why I love Wavy Gravy and all this kind of stuff, because it just it's subversive. It flies right in the face of that. It's wait a minute. Hello.
Well, and also, full circle, this is why everyone needs to just take psychedelics once and realize we're all the same.
Yes. Colonel Bruce used to always tell me, he said, you don't need that stuff, Oteil. It's the people that don't get it that need it the most. He would want Dick Cheney to dose.
Me too. Let's do it.
Me too. That's what I'm saying. My mom was already there. She never needed it. She still could see stuff behind your head that you can't see, or maybe you can, but the rest of us, her and Colonel Bruce could do it, But some of these other people, they need to. Well, I can't say need, but I sure wish they would, just to see there's more inside your own head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even maybe there's less. Yeah. Yeah. There's this I think about the the ego thing, and everybody kind of talks about dissolving and all of that. I think it's people's perception of their ego that gets dropped, because when you go, oh, I don't have to be this big, important, grandiose, like, or I don't have to hold on to these. That's the thing I personally believe is the biggest problem, is that everyone's scared to let go of what they think is the truth.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know is such a scary thing to some people. But then if you go like, I don't know. And it's just
to
like,
me, that's the like main truth. You know, like coming from our point, like, what do we know?
I don't have a clue.
It's just being honest. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I took mushrooms a couple years ago to break the pandy, 2021. I was like, we're going to do this. I hadn't done it in 20 years. And I laughed for 4 hours straight, and I declared myself the PR director of the sky. Because I was just looking at this guy.
That's
laughing
awesome.
It was awesome.
And why not?
And the PR, sky needs a PR director because it's so awesome. And everyone, you just look up, holy fucking A. It's,
Yeah.
And that's when you do that, you drop your ego because you're like, oh, the sky.
That's right. You're small. Earth, wind, and fire. Keep your head to the sky. That saved me a couple times.
Yeah.
When I was like this, Amen, man.
Thank you for having me, you guys.
Yeah.
It's just a really honor to be here.
The thing that I kind of love, and I can't wait to chat with you about with Wavy Gravy, is that, kids are always a part of things, and children are in a scene and all of that. And somehow, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like he had this kind of like inherent notion that like, I need to take care of the children. Like I need to kind of provide the kids a place to play while the parents are able to kind of go explore the universe, Is that true? Was he kind of like the babysitter in a way, but in a...
Yeah, it was actually his job. So, okay, first of all, American Prankster, let me just tell you guys what it is. It's 15. I took 15 hours of interviews with him and then all these other amazing people around him and in the world, and weaved it and like figured out the history of his life story. So actually, your question, Wavy was the babysitter. So he is a big child. He's so glorious because he's full of wonder and he just wants to have fun and, love. He is truly a being of love. And what he did in the 60s after he left, he left Hollywood. He was a stand-up comedian, left Hollywood to create fun centers, events of fun. They just did this like tour with the hog farm in like 65. No, it was like 67. No, 68, sorry. And they were having fun. And then, just like, it was like camp. It was like Camp on a Rainbow, but for adults. So they're all like also taking LSD and just, we're going to paint everything orange today. And we're going to have big things of Jello and swim in it. And we're going to do it for peace. And then the hippies started having kids. And Wavy loves kids because he loves wonder. Yeah. I don't know if you've hung out with Wavy, but he has a hard time talking to adults. Yeah. But but he's a big kid. And so he was given the task of being the babysitter. He literally was. And all these hippies in the hog farm could take like 2 hours to themselves and relax. And Wavy would take all the hog farm kids and do all these ridiculous things like break into the Claremont Hotel and pretend they were guests and go swimming and go to the Hyatt in San Francisco and ride the glass elevator for like 3 hours. Like Wavy and like 10 little grubby hippie boys.
It's like purely innocent subversion, harmless, but extremely subversive.
And the thing that was so cool about like, even like I ran into him a couple times. We had a chance to chat a few times, like in the wild. And I mean that at like Gathering of the Vibes festivals and stuff like that, where he was essentially like the MC and he would go on in between, Les Claypool bands, Les's band 1 and Les's band 2. And, he would just go up and goof around and have everybody like, that's when people are stretching and going to pee and going to get a drink and whatever. But like, you couldn't not pay attention to Wavy. And then like, I'd see him walking around and like, there'd be like a family dog exhibit and like, he'd be in there chilling out and answering questions, but not answering questions, kind of answering it in his, roundabout ways. And it was just being around him, just like even being like within, a couple feet of him, it was like you were near static electricity, like you were near vibrating like a light bulb. Yeah.
Wavy is a comedy genius. He's literally a comedy genius. And he's one of the people on planet Earth who paved the way for you to have a comedy career. He is a fucking comedy pioneer, him and his crew. I interviewed Larry Hankin. Do you guys know who Larry Hankin is? Larry Hankin is the junkyard guy from Breaking Bad, and he played fake Kramer in Seinfeld. He's a character actor.
Yeah, totally. Now I know who he is.
Everyone knows he's like a character actor. You don't know his name, but you've seen him a billion times. He was in that Adam Sandler movie. What's the Adam Sandler movie where he goes back to school?
Billy Madison.
He's in Billy Madison. He plays the butler, and he was part of the comedy troupe with Wavy in 1964, 65 in San Francisco with my mom, Howard Hessman, Carl Gottlieb, who wrote Jaws. We go into all of this in the American Prankster. Yeah. And Larry said to me, he said, Wavy, his name was Hugh Romney at the time. Hugh was on a different plane than all the other improvisers. He was vibrating in a different place. And everyone knew it, but like they were just like, holy shit. So you're not, this is something he's done his entire life. He's been this outlier and unique, magical creature. Like,
I didn't realize it till I saw that documentary, Saint Misbehavin'.
Yes.
And his whole thing, like he was opening for like Thelonious Monk.
Yes.
And Coltrane and stuff, and doing this completely improv, like just, precursor
improv
to
life.
Yeah, the whole thing
all
was
improv.
Just zen. Yeah.
He was an improv pioneer with Viola Spolin. So that's a great documentary, Saint Misbehaving. It's so good. And it's the reason I did this podcast, which is 12 hours of audio. It's an audio doc. It's not a conversation. It's like a story. I did it because I love Saint Misbehaving, but I was like, what else? Wait, hold on. There's more. There's so much more.
Yeah.
As someone who grew up with Wavy, I actually didn't know almost all the stories he ended up telling me during the pandemic, the height of it, when all the old people had to get on Zoom. They had to use technology and they had nothing to do.
Not just the old people.
I know, me too. I was like, how do I use it? What do I do? And I have nothing to do. Exactly. I have nothing to do. And,
Let's learn.
I had listened to the Fred Rogers podcast. Did you guys hear that one?
I didn't hear the Fred Rogers podcast, but I saw the documentary. But it's so great.
Yeah.
So there's a wonderful podcast as well. I just loved it, and I listened to it, and I thought, oh my God, Wavy needs this kind of story as well. Yes. And I called him and Ja, his wife, and I was able to nail him down for 15 hours.
Whew.
It was incredible. And I listened to the podcast you guys did with Wavy, and I thought, oh, this is why I had to make this narrative, is because let me tell you, editing this American Prankster was quite difficult.
3 lifetimes. He lived 3 whole lifetimes.
He's lived so many, and he's not linear. So we would talk for an hour and he'd be all over the place. So I'd have to cut these hours and try and organize the audio. Okay, this is a Merry Prankster story. These are Yippee stories. This is the committee. Here's the Grateful Dead story.
Yeah.
And I want everyone to hear this podcast, and it's a really wonderful way to hang out with Wavy for 10 hours because it's linear.
You're like the psychedelic Ken Burns.
Oh my God, thank you.
Psychedelic Ken Burns.
I am.
You're the PR for this guy.
No, I am. I also did the same thing with Patch Adams, who I also met at Wavy's camp.
He's another one that.
Yeah.
So I got his life story as well.
Of course, they're together. Wow.
Yeah, it's called The Best Day of My Life, Patch Adams' Journey to the Nobel Peace Prize. And also during the pandy, Patch was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, what? And he went to camp for 1 million years with his son, Lars. We're all friends. And so I called Lars. I was like, we have to find out how Patch Adams went from suicidal misfit teenager to Nobel Peace Prize nominee.
Yeah.
What happened? And so I actually did Wavy.
Happened, probably, right?
Yeah.
Patch was very influenced by Wavy, of course. And Patch is another complete, like, Looney Tune nutball outlier genius.
Yeah.
Total. Yeah.
I have to just say, too, as an aside, you and I have something in common, or we both call it the pandy. And I think that's the best thing to call a pandemic is if you give it a fun name, a cute name, it's not as scary. You got to name the monsters under the bed. So I've been calling it the pandy for a bit. So I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, totally.
Friend heart. I'm shooting you a friend heart.
It's the pandy.
It's the pandy. Yeah.
People had
It's like
pandy.
the-
we say people had pandy babies. We talk about all the people who had pandy babies.
Totes. Pandy. That's what American Prankster. That was my pandy baby. And the best day of my life, Patch Adams' story. Pandy babies.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Two of the greatest stories ever. You know, it's like Wavy Gravy was the head of PR for fun.
That's great. That's God. Are you an advertising executive? You're just
but it's like he realized it so early on, and it just like, you know, because all I knew was like the third of his stories, you know, him and the
dad,
and like I didn't know about. I started wearing a clown suit because the cops wouldn't beat up a clown or Santa Claus, and then his back was already like completely messed up from being beat up by the cops. Like he was that much of an activist.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like all that. And then the farther you go back, you're like, wait a minute, this guy is an American. He's like
icon.
Fidel Castro.
Yeah.
Like just a complete anomaly. Like, how did that happen? You know?
Well, I tell you, in American Prankster, it unpacks, and I tell you how it happened. And Wavy tells you, because it's incredible. So do you know about the first Church of Fun?
About that.
So it started on Monday nights at the Committee Theater in 1964 because the theater was dark. And Wavy and John Brent, who was this comedian that John Belushi worshipped and everyone worshipped, and Del Close, another comedian everyone worshipped.
Del Close, that's the one I was trying
to Yes, they all got together, and Owsley was part of their crew. You know, the acid LSD manufacturer of the West Coast. And they would throw parties at the theater on Mondays. It was dark. It was closed, but it was just their friends only. And they called it the First Church of Fun. And they had a password. I'm going to ask you the password. What's green and white and hops?
It's green and white and hops.
This is the password to the First Church of Fun. One of them.
Something to do with beer. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll talk by the end of the episode. We'll give the answer. Let our brains, the back of our brains, can think about it while the front of our brains talk to you.
Green and white and hops.
Keep going.
Keep going. You know what? So here's something that's interesting: is that Wavy told me really almost everything. Like I get into his daughter he had that he had a falling out with his first wife, and his first wife wouldn't let him see his daughter. And I think that's one of the things that propelled him to also hang out with kids and create joy spaces for others. Is it helped heal him. He told me so many amazing stories, and there was one secret he refused to tell me for a whole year. He said he has a nickname from childhood. He has this nickname that his mom gave him, and he said, "I cannot tell you. I'm so embarrassed." And then I made this podcast, and it came out, and we hung out for a year on Zoom like this, and he finally said, "I will tell you this nickname that nobody but John knows. Not even Jordan, his son, knew." And he revealed it to me, and he gave me permission to reveal it with the world on the podcast. And that's episode 11 of the podcast, is the big reveal of his childhood nickname that he never told anyone but his wife his whole life.
Wow.
So you'll have to tune in, folks. The thing that's so amazing too, Oteil, remember when we were talking to him and basically like Einstein used to like walk him around the block? Like what the hell? Like they're just that's the thing where it's like, yeah, there's no God. Okay. Like Einstein and Wavy are like, that's just wild. I mean, that's crazy.
I think Wavy is a bit of a magnet.
There's magnets. Yeah, that's a great, and it's funny too, because there are the people who, just like you said, like they started to have kids, right? Like there had to be someone in the world of psychedelic, like overblown psychedelic taking, people who maybe even shouldn't have been taking it. There had to be someone to go, hey, your name is this. You took LSD. It's going to wear off. Like someone needed to be there for the people who were freaking out and go like, tell me your name. Your name is Oteil, you took LSD, it's going to wear off. And he knew inherently, I have to take care of these folks. Like no one thought to do that. And it's so great that he was kind of like, just an inherent loving caretaker, because how many people were freaking the fuck out? You know,
this is true. And I want to actually give you the history behind that story, because it wasn't just Wavy. I think what makes Wavy successful, and he's almost 87, 88, and wow, is the group he surrounded him with. So I had a great conversation with the archivist of Abbie Hoffman, who is the Yippie, and he was close friends with Wavy. And my friend Adrian, who is an Abbie Hoffman expert, said the difference between Wavy and Abbie is Abbie was alone. Wavy had a community. So the freak out tents, which were invented by Wavy and the Hog Farm before Woodstock, actually, they were. Yeah. Wavy had this Hollywood career as Hugh Romney. He was a stand-up comic. He was in movies. The Hog Farm was in movies as extras. That's how they got money to get their buses. And they took off across country, and Wavy had these contacts as a stand-up to book college tours, which paid their way. Yeah. And they'd put on these psychedelic shows, and people would trip out. And there was a whole community. And actually, Paul Foster, who's one of the pranksters, he wrote the Freak Out Handbook. He wrote there's like a guide to, Laura Foster Corbin, who is a prankster and a hog farmer, is on the podcast and talks about this history. Paul Foster wrote a handbook that everyone had when they went to the Freak Out tent at Woodstock.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that.
Tips. Hot tips. Yeah. I think it's on my website, actually. Laura sent it to me. It's on rainbowvalentine.com, because I was like, this is crazy. And so Wavy was one of a group, like there were like 80 people. The thing is that we all remember Wavy because he's a performer. He went to theater school at BU, and he's always been this stand-up comedian and improviser. And he's a showman. The dude is always that's why he needed a chicken-like microphone. So that's it. I'm glad you brought that up, though, because this is what my podcast me and Wavy's pod, it's not my podcast. This podcast unpacks is the actual true stories behind these things that you know about vaguely, but then you find out and you're like, wait, what?
It's hard to believe he is such a central thread through that much.
Oh my God. He was,
he's like era after era.
Well, Greenwich Village. I mean, that whole thing all the way up. Yeah. I mean,
he's a hippie wild. Forrest Gump.
Yes, exactly. That's it. Because it's from Bob Dylan writing whatever that song is on the typewriter in his
apartment in the village. Yeah.
To Camp Winter Rainbow. Well, to right now at 87, like still doing it. Like still this podcast that you're doing, like
we did it. It's done.
It's amazing. It's amazing,
Yeah.
He was at the I Have a Dream speech with Bob and Joan and the committee. Every time we'd sit down, he just kept dropping these moments where, these Forrest Gump moments where like, when I was, I'm going to tell you guys my favorite Wavy story, though.
Please.
Because it's another one of those secrets that you're like, what? You're amazing. So you guys know how Wavy always carries a purse? Like he carries a trout purse and a chicken purse, and he has like really cute satchels. So I asked him, I said, what's the deal with your cute satchels? And he's like, oh, how did you know about that? And I was like, I had no idea. And he told me this story. And then my friend who's working on a movie about the committee, a documentary, said, ask Wavy about the Goon King brothers dimensional Cremo.
You gotta write that down.
I wrote it down. I was like, the Goon King brothers dimensional Cremo.
The GKBCO. Got it.
Oh my God, Mike, you're a genius. Yeah. Oh my God, Goon King brothers dimensional Cremo. Yes. And Wavy said, how did you know? And I said, just what? You tell me. And what it was in 65 when he was in San Francisco with the committee, him and his best friend, John Brent, this comedian, were also LSD peddlers, and they called themselves the Goon King Brothers Dimensional Cremo, and they had business cards, and they would get their LSD from Owlsley, and Wavy would put it in a lunchbox in a thermos in a special secret compartment, even though LSD was legal at this time still, and he would bring this LSD to peddle to Margot St. James's brothel in North Beach. Margot St. James is this, she's now dead. She died recently, but she was a sex activist who created something called Coyote, which was call off your old tired ethics. And she wanted to legalize prostitution, which I think she did in San Francisco. She's very famous. So Wavy would bring this LSD. He was Hugh Romney at the time. And in his lunchbox in a thermos and give it to the hookers who would sell it. And then he would come collect the money, and it paid for his way because he was an actor.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I know. Thank you. Scene.
And that's where he learned to get the purses from.
I know that's the purse question. That's where the purse question went. I was like, oh my God.
That's
I had
so
no
neat.
idea.
Dude, hippie Forrest Gump is like the greatest analogy. That's amazing. Yeah.
And that's
totally.
65. I was 1 then.
I was
if I had even made one.
Yeah, I was negative 14.
Yeah.
I think.
And he was already like
what's green and white and hops? I'm still, the back of my head is smoldering. I can't think of it.
Are you ready?
Yeah. Are you, Oteil?
Probably not. But
it's just a frog sandwich that hops.
A frog sandwich that hops.
Oh.
I love it. I mean, Wavy, he's hilarious. Have you guys called him on the telephone?
Duh.
Have you ever called him on the
talked to
landline?
him on Zoom. I have never talked to him on the phone. Have you, Oteil?
No, but I have talked to J-Mo, the drummer with the Allman Brothers, on the phone.
Okay, here's
it's
how he answers the phone.
probably in the same dimension.
My phone. This is my phone.
Garfield.
Say ring. Pretend you're you, and I'll be Wavy. Weasel repair.
Hi, Wavy.
Every time. Sometimes it's weasel analysis. Like, oh my God, I love you.
I like talking to Babs. Babs is like very, I've chatted with him a couple times and it's very, like, I love him. He's got that like very, he's talking to a crowd. Like the pranksters and the hog farm and all those guys, like they're just like, and gals, they just have that, like, the world's their stage. It is very Globe Theater, Shakespeare-y, kind of like, you know, a troupe.
Yeah.
And it's weird how comedy kind of went the way of like it's either stand up or improv. There's not a lot of both. True. Like there's not a lot. There are a couple people who can do both.
Yeah, Robin Williams used to do it, and Jonathan Winters.
Yeah, but nowadays it's way more like you're kind of either improv or you're stand up, and it's there's a few. There's like, you know, but it's yeah, the pranksters were the guy, like you talk to Babs and it's like he's talking to the crowd at the Creamery in 72. You know what I mean? Like it's projecting. He's like, well, we're going to, you know, milk the cows and then we'll stop for coffee. And it's just great. I love it. It's just such a fun, spending time with those guys was like, yeah.
Life as a movie.
A human museum. It's just like literally just like it's Epcot Center in a body. Like it's just so many things that you're just like the lives.
Psychedelic Epcot Center in a body.
But that's, I think that's the benefit of being able to step into the unknown is that you may have a life like that.
Sure.
Like if you can just step out of this narrow facade that there's a lot of pressure for us to stay into. I get it. But once you step and then step and then step and then step and step, you could Forrest Gump yourself to.
Yeah. Well, how cool is it if you look at
87, like, whoa.
Yeah. You can look at each thing as a chapter, right? And chapters begin and chapters end. So it's cool, like be open for another chapter, I guess. It's kind of like that'll get you to your next Forrest Gump story. You know what I mean? You got to be open for your chapters to end and begin. I think that's something that everyone's scared of. You go, I am this. What a weird thing that humans do. We go, I am this until I retire and until my.
To like 4 chapters. Like you're a child, and then you're a young adult, at which point you have to get married and have kids. And then you're, I guess, wherever you're at in your midlife crisis, when that happened, you know.
Yeah.
Middle-aged, and then you're fixing to die, you know. Like
well, it's like the old literary trick.
Like,
the old
you
literary
could have like
trick.
8 more chapters if you didn't follow that. You know?
There's an old motif of like the seasons, right? Like the 4 seasons. Like you're in the autumn of your life, you're in the winter of your life, you're in the spring. Like, you know, that was a big motif in writing in the old, you know, like equate a human existence to seasons. But those are Earth seasons, right? Like, what about all the cosmic dust storms and space tornadoes and shit? You know?
Girl, you said it, man. I think that what has one of the reasons some like a band like the Grateful Dead had this following since '64, is because they promote that ethos, which Wavy and his friends and the pranksters and the Hog Farm, it's the hippie ethos is being open to change, being open to what's may happen, and also being in the present moment. It's a really, like not being afraid, and I guess there's tribalism, but it's more like open. I get openness, right?
Yeah.
And Wavy and his friends started that. They picked it up, right? Because there were these folks called the Diggers. The Diggers, the commune. Have you heard of these guys?
No, I haven't.
Oh, this is a really interesting. The Diggers. That when I say the Diggers, most hippies think of this commune called the Diggers, who were in San Francisco, and it was people in the Diggers were famous. That it would be Peter Coyote, Ron Thelen, who ran the psychedelic shop on Haight Street. Abby Hoffman worked at another psychedelic shop in Greenwich Village. But the Diggers was a commune growing up at this, like bursting into the scene at the same time as the Hog Farm and the Pranksters. But the Diggers were based on these 1800s hippies, these guys called the Diggers in like the 18 and 1700s that had the same ethos of like giving free food to the, and giving free food and having fun, feeding the world and having fun, which is Wavy's, that's it. That's what he wants to do.
People forget that spirit of humans has always run concurrently with colonizing and dominating and raping and killing. Like it's,
right.
Like that's how the Underground Railroad happened, because that spirit is always since the beginning.
Yeah.
The whole hippie thing is preceded by millennia of the hippie thing.
Totes.
That's the thing I never understood about religion, and like especially like Catholicism and Christianity, where like you're existing in a place where you don't know what Christianity is, and then these people come in and go like, you need to know this or else you're going to be damned for life. And you're just
here's the thing about that though, is that's not Christianity. That's not what Jesus said.
Well, it was under that. I know, but it's, but what I said was religion. Like the thing that I don't like about religion is that.
Well,
that
religion, that form of that religion, right? Because the real Christian thing never has been that. It was always the opposite of that. And always will be. Like Martin Luther King wasn't that.
Oh, I love him. He's kind of my celebrity boyfriend. When I moved to Atlanta, I take friends to his national center, and I totally developed this crush on him. He was not just incredible in every way, but he was like so cute.
You and every other girl.
I love him.
But that's the whole thing. It's like you can't avoid it because of humans. Right. Like no matter what we do, like there's a good thing that we could say, oh, this is really good, let's do this. And then it'll get subverted by the Darth Vaders of the world.
It's true.
Our form of capitalism is what's so bad. There probably is a form of capitalism that's fair and like great, as with probably communism and socialism and Christianity and Buddhism and but everybody divides up. It's like, there's not like one Buddhist faction. There's like a bunch. There's all these. We just divide up, into all these different denominations, no matter what it is.
I love that you're wearing the shaman cloak as you weave this monologue.
Well, I'm just thinking about like if it's just who's going to choose the let's be nice, feed each other, and have fun side.
Oh yeah. I have to tell you guys something exciting. This is a transition. I have to tell you something exciting about feeding each other and being nice. And because so Wavy, I have to go back to Wavy and tell you this exciting tidbit. Do you guys have children? Raise your hand if you have kids. Okay. I don't either. I don't.
Yeah,
so I'm coming out on next week with another podcast called Toon Tales, and it's a kids music story podcast.
Nice.
Where me and my friend Gabby Lala, the sitar player, we go into the world of a classic kids song and we meet the characters of the song.
Great.
And they are played by celebrities. And Wavy plays the rowboat of Row, Row, Row Your Boat. And our friend Les Claypool plays the Muffin Man. And we have Boots Riley playing Skip to My Lou, and Jane Weedland from the Go-Go's playing.
That's awesome.
Little star. But having Wavy as the rowboat was so great to get. I recorded it, like last fall, and it was so great to get him back playing a role, not just playing Wavy, but playing a rowboat. And so I'm really excited about that, and I had to tell that to you guys, to all your fans.
Personification's so cool. Like that's one of the things I really loved about it seems kind of. Well, there's a statue in Oregon of Kesey reading to children. He wrote Big Double the Bear Meets Little Tricker the Squirrel, and it was one of the things he was like the most proud of. And he would go to elementary schools and read that story. And it was just that it was cartoons. It was Native American folklore. It was the beginning. It was I can trick. And that was the superpower, was the squirrel could trick the bear. Big scary bear.
That's my kid. That's where my kids are right now.
Big Double the Bear Meets Little Tricker the Squirrel. You should read that.
How old are they?
5 and 8, and oh my God, they're learning their power right now. Yeah.
Are you going to send them to camp this summer?
I would love to, but my summers are always taken up doing the touring. So they were going to come on tour with us. So. But now we're not sure we can do that. So I don't know.
Maybe
I would love to get them there.
Drop them for 1 week and then pick them up, and you get to go. You could go to camp yourself.
I want to go. See, that's the thing. When they go, I want to go.
You can go. You can do that.
I want to do the whole thing.
They would love to have you guys. Camp loves to have like real grown-ups there.
Oh. Real grown-ups.
Well, I don't know if I can give them that, but
the staff are like 19 and 20, so it's really nice to have like people over 22 there.
When does it run? When are the exact dates of it?
I don't know the exact dates, but it's June through August, and there is a 1 week session that your 5-year-old is too young, but you know what? You guys could all go together, and your 5-year-old could sleep in your tent, and the 8-year-old could be in a teepee. Oh my God, you guys would have so much fun.
I gotta look into that. June through August. I think that's when we're touring, but I'm gonna look because I've talked to my wife about getting the kids there to camp.
They gotta go.
Rainbow.
You must.
When I saw it in the documentary, I was like, "This is the antidote to devices." Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Who gives a shit about? Yeah.
You can't use your device. There's
no. I'm fine with that. Great.
There's no you like find a bush. You're like, oh my God, I have a bar. Yeah. There's no whatever you call it.
It looks like heaven on earth. The big kid in you. That's the fun thing about kids for me is that them being kids has reconnected me with the kid in me.
Oh, great.
In a way that I don't know if it really could have before, Well, it's all possible. It's in there. We all had it that first time.
I feel
never
like
too late to have a happy childhood, right?
That's right. Well, and being musicians and comedians, like that is being a big kid, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's why we do it, because it's so fun.
Yeah, totally. And maybe some of us became old grown-ups at a young age. So now it's like we're Benjamin Buttoning life,
That's right.
God.
Yeah. So how old were you? Like when you had your first psychedelic experience? What were you like? High school?
I was
college?
18. So my parents, always said, this is a special thing. If you want it, come to us. If you want,
that's awesome.
If you want, come to us. And so no, I was 18, and no, maybe I was a little older. I was in college, 20. Yeah, so I grew up with so many people doing drugs around me, the psychedelic pioneers. Like, I was not interested. I was like, I'm not interested in pot. This is lame. This is what adults do. No, thank you. Like, lame.
Right.
So I didn't smoke pot till I was like 18. And I actually haven't smoked pot in 20 years because it turned on me.
Same here.
Yeah, but it was Owsley acid. I did, and the reason they said, come to us is because we're going to get you the pure good shit.
We have the best.
Yeah. I mean, why? Yeah, honestly, why drink from the tap when the waterfall's right in the backyard?
Some crappy acid. They're like, please don't do that crap.
And I still,
we've got Owsley,
there's so much
here.
crap out there.
So much.
I still am that person. I'm like, I am going straight to the source. Actually, I have a good friend who is part of the Merry Pranks, who's part of the world, the Merry Pranksters, who's providing microdosing for people with the Paul Stamets, instructions. And if anyone You know, I know where that's, you know, I'm the source for all my stressed out LA friends who want to do that to get back to the, you know, back to what's not being stressed and full of anxiety. So
they just need to go dose and come to Camp Winter Rainbow for 2 weeks.
Which is, which
come
by the way,
on.
Winter Rainbow, like they're very serious about like not letting the drugs and the kids thing be connected.
Yeah.
Like what actually it's funny.
I wouldn't need it there. You know.
I told Johanna, I had a revelation that I was like, holy shit, I think Camp Winter Rainbow was the most drug-free place I ever was at as a child.
It's amazing.
But
yeah,
it's
true.
It's your state of mind. It still was an incredibly psychedelic place.
Oh yeah.
All kids are psychedelic until we beat it out of them.
It's true.
You know, they have imaginary friends and, you know, like we just say, oh, no. Like they're totally psychedelic from the get-go.
Well, and this is why also adults like to come to dead shows and fish shows is because we get to play dress up. And I'm not a deadhead, but I like to play. Obviously, I like to play dress up. Yeah, we want that as humans. We want to play dress up. We want to have fun. That's why we have Halloween. And, you know, everyone loves Halloween. It's the best holiday ever.
I just had one of the most psychedelic experiences of my life at Mom's Ball in New Orleans, which is happening during Mardi Gras, which is why I had this made for that one show, because the theme of the ball was outer space. And I kept texting my friends. I say, I feel like somebody dosed me and I've done nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
But the outfits were all light up and I felt like I was in the bar scene at Star Wars. I didn't feel like it. I was in the bar scene at Star Wars.
That's a perfect.
And I was like, it's just your state of mind. I'm sure Camp Winter Rainbow is just like that.
Yeah. It's
like
a magic
get there
place.
for about 2 hours and you're like, oh, yeah. You know?
Yeah. Fuels creativity. It's so, we live in a society of crushing creativity, and Wavy and his friends, Wavy, the hog farm, the psychedelic pioneers, I call them. They were the people who said, oh, this is good for you and let's use it for creativity and to make the world awesome. You know, let's spread peace.
You just hit you said something so important. Creativity and content are two totally different things. And right now we're in this world of like content. And it's just going and pouring a cup of water into the ocean of content. And like, there's this addiction to keep creating content, keep making content. If you're not making content or influencing and all this other, and it's got no I want to outfluence heart
people
to it or whatever, you know? And it's just this thing of where like the purity of creativity. Yeah. The purity of creativity is the thing that excites me personally.
For its own sake.
Yeah. For creativity for the sake of not being creative. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
if I don't, I'll die. I have to make something.
Yeah.
Well,
but if you don't post it at this time with this screen at this moment with this tag, not interested. And
my son just does it. He sees a big cardboard box. He's like, let's go, cardboard box. And then
you're now
like,
a spaceship cardboard box. Yeah.
And he's not posting it. He's just
right, of course. But it's just amazing how like, you know, but when you know that pranksterism and you know that hog farm, like, and all of this, like the pure, that's why I love that, like the beats and the way that they kind of influenced, you know, everybody and all of the sympathetic way of looking at things. There's a certain romantic sympathy that goes along with creativity, you know?
Totally. Like, good for you. Like, well done. Thank you.
Yeah. It's just this thing of kind of like, you know, I'll do anything to make you happy if it makes you happy. You know what I mean? But like,
that's for what comedians. I mean,
last night I had a show and it was a rainy, gross night. And I just had this thought when I walked in and saw the room full, like it would have been so easy for them to just stay home. It would have been so easy for them to just go like, nah, you know what? It's icy out. It's bitter. It's raw. We're going to have to park and walk in the rain. And they didn't. They came out and they're supporting, they're giving me a chance to do what I do. And I kind of had a moment of like, they deserve the best. Like they really do deserve the best I can give them. And we had an amazing time. You know, we had a really unbelievable, like collective, every now and then you in the crowd just click in a small room like that, you know? And it was, I left feeling really damn good about the whole thing. And it was like, we didn't have to do this, but we decided to, You know?
Yeah, but you're a doctor. Like laughter literally is the best medicine. Yes, they showed up, but like you gave them this gift of fucking laughing.
Yeah.
That is, I've said to my man Panyan, I'm like, if I'm in grief, just like wheel me up to the Arrested Development TV series on a beach and press play.
That's it.
Oh, so what you did is, yes, they gave you the gift of their presence and they laughed at you, but you fucking gave them this gift to be an artist and to share your, to take people's minds off of the shit of life.
That's it.
Is an incredible job. And I thank you both for being some of those people. And we thank people like Wavy.
Well,
and
you too.
You too. Girl. It you can't help it. You don't choose this life. You're like, I'm 50 and I'm still playing dress up and talking to a chicken microphone. No, like you're just like, I can't. If I do this, I'll die. If I don't do this, I'll die.
Yeah.
And that, Wavy's still like that. I went and had dinner with him and John. God, he's so funny. He was sitting there. He's a big reader. He's a super intellectual and he's reading Buddhist. I don't know what the fuck he's reading. Something amazing. And he's on though. He's still on. He wants to make people laugh.
Yeah.
Well, you can keep having fun for a long time. When life is fun, you seem, no matter how old you get, you still are able to run on fun gas.
Putin needs to have more fun, right? Isn't that the problem? Putin, that motherfucker is not having enough fun. Like, let's dose that bitch.
All of them that aren't having fun. I mean, that's all it is. It's the island of not having fun. We're the island of misfit toys, but they're dragging everybody else onto their island. They're invading it.
And I'll tell you, I'll say the thing I've said all the time. I had a big old mushroom experience not that long during the pandy as well, to break it up, on Bob Weir's birthday. And the thing I came out of it with, and I've told Oteil this 10 million times, I think when it all came down to the simplest thing, there's love and fear, and those are the only ways that you can operate. And if you're operating from love, fear doesn't stand a chance. And if you're operating from fear, you're not open to the love that is there. So, and that was the thing that, to me, Putin's operate. So from my brain right away, I just go, he's operating from fear.
It's great.
He's not operating from love.
Fear is the fun killer, for sure.
It's the worst.
Yeah,
fear.
But love's the antidote.
Love.
Like last night, we just had like me and the crowd just had a big old goof together, and it was just a good time. Sometimes it's a struggle. It's just a struggle. But
stand-up comedy.
Well, it's just this thing of kind of like, did you know you were coming here? Like you knew,
right.
Did someone blindfold you, lose a bet?
Oh my God.
Like go home, you don't have to stay.
Right. Don't be an asshole. Like we're here to have fun. When I see kids crying at the beach, I'm like, no crying at the beach. Like,
It's not allowed.
I have to ask, really, I remember you said something just and kind of zipped it through. You're not a deadhead.
I'm not a deadhead. I grew up with the Grateful Dead kids. Like, I'm friends with all the kids in the world. And I appreciate their art form, but I'm not a deadhead. Yeah, I don't.
You don't follow them around for 20 concerts.
I really only know like one or two songs, and I only know them because we sang them at camp.
Wow. What do you listen to? If you were going to go to a concert now, what do you...
My favorite band is the Mountain Goats. Do you guys know that band?
No, I don't.
Oh my God, it's this dude.
Intrigued.
He's amazing. He's the most incredible poet. He's this dude from North Carolina. Well, he's from California. The Mountain Goats. He's incredible. He's been performing since the 80s. He used to do stuff on his 8-track, and he's gotten big. Big-ish. Belle and Sebastian.
Okay.
I'm an indie. Neutral Milk Hotel. But then
the Shins.
I don't know any of it.
Yeah, the Shins. But I also really love like the Indigo Girls, and I love my 80s, like Cyndi Lauper and Get Into the Groove and REM. I'm a child of the 90s. Come on.
Right
child
on.
of the 80s
Me too.
and 90s.
No, when we were talking to Annabelle Garcia and Trixie, it was kind of like that. I was like, for us to rebel as teenagers, we're into pop.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I wasn't interested in what the old people were. Like, I grew up with old deadheads, like with their tits hanging out in like macrame bikinis. I was like, no, thank you, girl.
I love it. Yeah.
Me and Trixie were preteens together. Like we were preteen. We were awkward, wearing like neon lace hair things in our hair, like Madonna.
Punk rocker.
Listening to rap.
No.
Yeah.
No, this is before. Like we were like awkward 11-year-olds together. Like the worst time ever.
Samantha Fox and Tiffany and all that. New Kids.
No,
or were you too young for that?
No, we're too old. We're like, Madonna, like Borderline, and fucking Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Cyndi Lauper.
Roller
Yeah,
Haven.
Beat
That's
Street.
Roller Haven music. Yeah,
Annie
roller
Lennox.
skating rink.
Yeah. I mean, at one point in Camp One Rainbow, they got a linoleum and like spread it out on the stage, and all the kit and all the it was mostly boys. They would like break dance and like do the worm and the thing on your back, the backspin. It was like 1983.
So cool.
It was cool. It was cool. Oh my God, it's ridiculous.
I definitely am going to have to. I have listened to so many podcasts already, including doing one, but I'm going to have to dig into this one because, there's.
You're going to love it.
Even more chapters of Wavy's incredible, like.
Well, it's important. It's so important. And you look at like Crosby's not here anymore, and his podcast recently, like it's so great that we have this medium to be able to capture, like these time capsules. You know what I mean? Like Crosby told some pretty incredible stories on his, and he's not here to tell them anymore. So it's these people don't stick around. But
and in Wavy's case, it's living history because he is still here.
Right. That's what it's glad we're doing it now. So
and
you're doing you're a doctor.
I am O'Teal said I was the psychedelic Ken Burns. I really like that. Wavy is born for the podcast space. He is an oral historian. He is an oral, he's an oral speaker. He's an oral performer. Like he's a fucking storyteller. Like
an
orator. Yeah.
Thank you. He's an orator. And so he's born for podcasts. So I was like, it was a total joy to create this. I'm still doing bonus episodes, and I also archived all the women of this counterculture during the pandy. I got all the psychedelic women, and I need a budget to make this podcast called Psychedelic Women, but I have not everybody's, but lots of folks' stories. Yeah. I'm going to give you a little list of who's on American Prankster so you can be so excited. Sunshine Kesey, Trixie Garcia, Denise Kaufman. You know Denise?
Yeah, we had her on the podcast. Yeah.
Oh my, she and Wavy, they were lovers. They were lovers.
You heard it here second, folks.
Yeah. Laura Foster Corbin, Dorji Bond. Do you guys know who Dorji is?
I don't.
Oh my God. She's a hog farmer who she landed at the hog farm in Sunland in LA on the day of Wavy and Jahanara's actual wedding, 1966 or something. She just showed up. But I wanted David Crosby, by the way, plays a key role in Wavy and Jahanara's courtship.
No kidding.
That's the story we tell. He tells.
Damn. Isn't it just incredible when you look at that circle, and it's just like all of the electricity in that it happens sometimes. It really does happen sometimes.
It does. We also have we have Jordan Romney, Wavy's son. We have Casper Vandermeer, who's Calico's son, also known as Ruby Begonia, right? Is that her hippie name? The old ticket lady from the Grateful Dead?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. You know
Calico.
better than I do.
Okay. I
don't know all the
history.
old.
In the olden days, like the 80s and 90s, you would send a decorated envelope to the Grateful Dead ticket people. That was Calico. And
that was her.
That was Casper's mom. Yeah, she's one of the hog farmers. And who else do I have? I have, and Calico, by the way, she was a freedom fighter in Amsterdam in World War II before she moved to New York to be a jazz singer and then joined the hog farm.
Everybody has these multiple chapters of their the Gump family.
I have to tell you one more story. Dorji Bond, who's a hog farmer, she makes all the teepees and she makes all these tents. She's the queen of crafting. She told me this story about the hog farm being in France, in Paris. They were building the bus to drive to Asia, and they were all invited to dinner with Salvador Dali.
Oh my God.
Jeez.
I know you guys. It's crazy.
It's just, it doesn't stop.
I know.
And it's so funny, the stories, like you said, you hear, he just tells a story and it's that one of these folks, one of all of our stories really some people would be like, that's enough for a lifetime.
Right.
I remember Kesey telling me a story about when they went to the Dalai Lama. They went to go meet the Dalai Lama and they wanted him to come on the bus. Right. But Cassidy had gotten the crabs and he shaved all the hair off his body and went wow. Ginsburg went up to get the Dalai Lama and they came down And when they were just about to get him on the bus, like Cassidy just bursts out the back of the bus completely naked and shaved, and he's like running around, and the Dalai Lama's like, nah, and went back upstairs. And that was like, well, we almost had the Dalai Lama on the bus. And I'm like, that one story.
That is an incredible story I have not heard. Thank you.
So wild that like and then he's like, yeah, so what do you want for lunch? And I'm like, wait a minute. Like, what? Can we go back?
You get that hanging around with it. We got one like that from Mickey at Playing in the Sand when we were just in Mexico. I was so glad Jess was there. He's talking about this time that he had this, I guess, 2 or 3 days with Fidel Castro. And they had this big dinner, and there's like, and I'm just like, Mickey Hart and Fidel Castro. And Castro goes, I like you. You and I think a lot alike, and like, his wife Carol's like, oh, yeah. And then he goes, Castro gave me a box of cigars, and he signed it. And then after that, I smoked that whole box once a year with Walter Cronkite on his birthday. We smoked one of those cigars till that box was gone. Yeah. And I was just like,
yep.
Mickey Hart and Castro and Walter Cronkite and nobody dosed me.
Yeah.
That was just Thursday.
Yeah.
I'm telling that story and it's like, all right.
Yeah.
What do I tell?
Wavy's got like 10 million like that.
Well, he what was it? He basically, and it's escaping me at the moment, but was he the one? He went to jazz clubs in New York City and said, like, you need to have spoken word, you need to have stand-up comedy. Is that what it was? Like, I can't remember.
No. So Wavy was part of the Gaslight. So he was he'd go to the Gaslight, which was an open mic, an open mic, and he would go and he would perform this. He would do poetry. He was also going to the neighborhood Playhouse Theater School at the same time. So he'd perform, and he would also do little spiels in between, like, banter. And some guy said, hey, forget the poetry, just do the banter. And so then he started doing the banter, and the Gaslight it's just like the Comedy Store. Scouts would come, and they saw Wavy, and they were like, great, we're going to we want to book you to open for Peter, Paul, and Mary, and John Coltrane and Thelonious Monk. So that's how that happened.
Got it.
Wait, I know, it's like amazing.
Yeah, and that's just chapter 1. Chapter 2. Chapter 8.
It doesn't end. Exactly these two stories you just told me, where you're like, I cannot believe all the crabs and the Neil Cassidy and the Dalai Lama and the Walter Cronkite with Fidel Castro and Mickey Hart. Like, that is like the mashup of celebrities. You're like, my brain is exploding.
It's just so weird.
We should title this guy, Who Needs Acid? Like, literally go listen to this podcast and then you'll know what acid's like.
And that's why it was a joy to make this podcast. Because I did it for free for 9 months, 10 months, 11 months. And but it was a joy. Like I would laugh. I was LOLing the whole time.
And that's what makes it great when you don't
look at the amount of energy it's giving you.
Yeah. We walk away from these episodes and it's like, it's therapy. Like talking to you is like a big glass of orange juice, Yep.
I'm going to go wear this to the grocery store. Right? I need a few things. Good. And I'm going to be like, have some balls. Wear it to the grocery store. You're not naked.
Be careful in Florida, though.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
It's fine. It's fine. You think there aren't people like me here in Florida? They're here. And once they see me, they're going to be like,
put on your roller skates.
Tomorrow, I'm going to see you.
I roller skated across my college graduation stage.
Nice.
I was like, I'm out of here.
That's fantastic.
I love you.
I love you guys. I really do. Thank you. I really appreciate having me. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Oh, you're awesome. It's always a pleasure. And tell everybody where they can find everything everyone who's listening. Into the chicken leg, please.
All my podcasts are at rainbowvalentine.com, and rainbowvalentine.com gives you a list of it basically gives you the little Spotify button, the Apple, but all the buttons where you press to listen to podcasts in the world. Rainbowvalentine.com is where they can find everything. I'm on the Instagram. I'm on all that. And I'm also known as the Ukulele. I'm a musical comedian.
The Ukulele.
The Ukulele. THEUKULADY. Yeah, I'm a weird. I'm one of those weirdos, like you said. Like I don't do stand up, but I do comedy songs. And I do improv. I'm weird. So no one's ever.
That's great.
You're talking into a chicken leg.
Yeah.
It's a
you don't need to
paperweight,
explain.
by the way.
So I'm going to put this out in the universe right now. Okay,
Thank you.
Comes a time at Camp Win a Rainbow.
Please come. Please come this summer. I mean, you could come for one day. Listen, I'm going to give you guys my cell. Just call me. I'm moving to Sebastopol on Trixie's Mountain this summer. I think cut that. I don't really want everyone to know that.
That's okay. Yeah. Eric will cut that.
I don't want people. We're like friends. I don't want.
No, I get it. No, that's
everybody is going to Sebastopol. I'm sorry, I have a weird confluence at Sebastopol.
It's very rural, and it's where all the hippies live. But just text me if you're in NorCal or SoCal, and like if camp is running, you could just I'm your conduit to camp, and we can even go to the hog farm, and I'm sure Wavy would just adore to meet you guys in person and hang out. Anytime.
Let's do it. We'll totally do it.
Goes to Winnebago and the hog farm.
It's so healing. Right. Yeah, you guys
like a pilgrimage to Mecca.
Yeah, in our email, we'll exchange numbers and then we'll be able to connect and all of that. Totes. But okay, ready now, we'll do this. And we're back. So thank you so much for joining us. And we really look forward to seeing you very soon. And who knows, maybe we'll do some Comes a Time stuff in camp.
I love it. Let's raise a glass to the downfall of evil, which is how I'm going to raise a chicken leg, but raise your glass and we're going to say, to the downfall of evil. 1, 2, 3. To the
downfall of evil.
That feels good. I like doing that. Let's do that more.
Yeah, that's my
motto.
motto.
Be careful with the store, Oteil.
Yeah.
Oh, it's cool.
See you next time, everybody.
They've seen me in some stuff already.
I love you guys.